distinguished guests, esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to all of you. And before we start, I really like to thank Elite Plus and Nidhi Verma for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to address this August gathering. It's a privilege to stand before you to discuss a topic that is not only integral to our industry, but crucial for the sustainability of our planet. Polymers for a circular economy is most relevant today as we witness unprecedented heat waves across countries, including in India, and that's due to the natural resources exploitation that's been happening for decades. As per the UN's International Resources Panel, natural resource extraction and processing contribute to about half of all greenhouse gas emissions. In this context, polymers, by virtue of adopting a cleaner production approach with low environmental footprint vis-a-vis substitutes, has emerged as wonder material which supplements industrial growth without commensurate adverse impact on the environment. This morning, I want to explore how polymers can create a more sustainable future. But before I do that, Nidhi wanted me to talk a little bit about the company I come from, and I'll just take a few minutes to share a little bit about Haldia Petrochemical. Haldia Petrochemical was founded close to 25 years back in a small place called Haldia, which is 125 kilometers from Kolkata. It's 2 hours drive and very good connectivity now, so it's pretty good. It was a joint venture by the West Bengal government and a few private players, including Dr. Chatterjee, who's the founder of TCG. And today it is part of the TCG, the Chatterjee Group, and it's the leading organization within the group. We produce around 700,000 KTA of ethylene, and we are of asset size of $1.8 billion, revenues of close to $1.5+ billion. It's been profitable. I think the biggest strength that I see in the organization is the experienced people that we have, 900 technically qualified professionals who are running the business.
Esteemed members from the polymer industry, polymer processing industry, raw material producers, brand owners, converters, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, and most importantly, our customers. Thank you, Nidhi Verma, for organizing such a beautiful customer meet for me. And may you grow every year, and may we have a better customer meet every year. So, and good morning to all, and namaskar. Today, it's a great honor to stand before you, such a beautiful audience, and almost who's who of the total Indian industry, that is polymer industry, that is here. It's always good to share thoughts and exchange ideas with this fraternity. As Navanit ji has already covered very exhaustively how things can be improved on the circularity front in the downstream industry. He has particularly covered most of the things that have to be done on the downstream side. I'll take a slightly backward step and try to understand how things are growing and how the industry is slated to grow in the next maybe say 10 years or maybe 20 years. Today we are worldwide, we are seeing a growth of at least 2x in next 15 years. By 2040, we will be around 500+ million tons of polymers will be consumed all across the world. In India also, all the more, from today 22-25 million tons, we are slated to go up to 50 to 55 million tons by 2040 and up to 80 million tons in 2050. So around 2.5-3 times we will be growing in this area. Now, and the growth areas from where they will come, the most important one and the most sunrise one and most, as of now, I don't know whether we are investing that much of time, that much of effort, that much of our resources in it or not, but the energy transition that is looming on the horizon, which may be a concern for us as refiners when we are here, when we are wearing the refiner cap. It can be a concern for us, but when we are wearing the polymer cap, it is a sea of opportunity. When we are going for wind turbines, we are going for PV cells, we are going for all sorts of renewable, the battery manufacturers, in the hydrogen cells. These are the opportunities which are going to drive the future of this industry, which are going to be a very significant part when we are going to contribute to the production, to the material science that is involved in these.
Thank you, Chairman. Hello, everyone. Let me introduce myself first. I am Toshihiro Kasai, Executive Officer of Shibaura Machine Japan. I'm in charge of business strategy planning in my company. It is a great honor to be able to participate in this summit, and I'm very happy to have met everyone. Also, it is only a short time. We would appreciate your cooperation. The general topics. The Paris Agreement sets a 2 degrees target as a long-term common goal worldwide. Efforts should be made to keep the temperature below 1.5 degrees. In reality, abnormal weather events are occurring all over the world, and controlling GHG emissions has become process issues. Each country has set the CO2 emission reduction target and making effort to achieve net zero. There are many things effort to reduce CO2, but let's focus on automotive-related efforts today. IEA guideline calls for electric vehicle cell share to reach 60% by 2030. It's a current situation. This table shows trend and forecast for EV shares in major countries. In India, government policies such as FAME will also contribute, and this share of electric vehicles, mainly two-wheel and three-wheel, are expected to increase. In order to increase the EV share, in addition to purchase incentive and infrastructure development, such as charging stations, it is necessary for the EV manufacturing industry to grow in the well-balanced manner. This is actual result of the forecast and the global EV sales share. While battery EVs...
Ladies and gentlemen, the Indian economy is growing fast. We all expect that this will last. For the plastics industry, this bodes well. The economic growth can propel the industry to newer heights. Double-digit growth is within your sights. In important industries, you play a role, so rapid growth is an achievable goal. The opportunity is clearly there, but the industry needs to take care. Sustainability is a real threat. All industries are beset. Carbon emissions are too high. For major reductions, we all must try. In every industry, it is seen that energy sources should be green. Energy conservation is the way to go. Yet, energy use continues to grow. India, while at COP26, suggested a presumptuous fix, 500 gigawatt. Thank you. 500 gigawatt by 2030 of energy that isn't dirty. This bold decision by our nation will aid us in decarbonization, but we will also have to make haste in reducing plastic waste. Most of the plastics in the trade, regrettably, don't biodegrade. For components that last very long, this isn't all that bad or wrong, but when you use and then dispose, the problem then rapidly grows. Now, plastic waste is a pain. On land and sea, it's such a bane. We need plastics that biodegrade. More and more are being made. In India, too, they're on the way. A major role they will play. For now, the costs are rather high. For indigenous production, we should try. If we increase agricultural yield and each and every farmer's field, biological feedstocks can be our goal, replacing gas, oil, and coal. At a price that's not too high, we will succeed if we try. We'll soon, I hope, have at a low cost good plastics that can compost, and also those that biodegrade, a real boon for your trade. As far as goes for the other kind, we should always bear in mind we must recycle or reuse, or else repurpose and reduce.
Thank you, Nadir, for your invitation. And I'm happy to be here with all of you at a time which is great vibrancy for industry. I'm happy to learn all that this industry is contributing towards growth, and especially towards sustainable growth. The last address was delightful to see what industry is doing to make growth and the economy and the globe sustainable. Now, behind the industry growth lies India's growth. And since after the 1990s liberalization, average growth has been about 6% over these more than 30 years. As was mentioned earlier, in 2023, at $3.7 trillion, it's the third largest economy in the world. The population is 1.4 billion, huge part of the world, and very important, more than 40% of this is youth. And the high middle class is now 50 to 60 million. It rose from 10% to more than 30%. But I want to make a slightly different point here, that behind this average hides a certain volatility in growth. I'm sure as industry captains, as you go ahead to make investment plans, you're wondering, will this growth be sustained? So growth has been volatile post-liberalization. It was high in the 2000s, we had peak growth, but then it fell in the 2010s, and 3 years prior to the pandemic, the average growth was only about 5.7 per annum. A lot of people became pessimistic about India, in comparison to China. Can we grow in double digits? Can we sustain this? So after the pandemic, and the triple shocks we witnessed during that period, there was a surprise, because growth over 21 to 24 has been high and steady, and it's averaged 8.3%. Last year we had 8.2% growth. And what is interesting for me as an academic and an observer of the economy is that, as in the MPC, we would see a lot of forecasts, because I joined the MPC in 2020, and these forecasts had to be systematically revised upwards. That is, people were pessimistic about Indian prospects after the last decade and after the shocks associated with the pandemic. So their forecasts